Adam prided himself on being a logical man. His cozy one-bedroom house in Portland was his safe haven, a place where he could retreat from the world. But lately, little things started to feel off. It began innocuously: misplaced keys, milk running out faster than usual, even though he lived alone. Adam chalked it up to forgetfulness. He was working long hours as a graphic designer, often pulling late nights, so maybe he just wasn't paying attention. But then, there were the noises. Late at night, as he lay in bed scrolling through his phone, he heard faint creaks from the kitchen. He tried to rationalize it. Old house, wooden floors, probably expanding from the cold. But the creaks grew louder. And one night, he swore he heard the fridge door slam shut. By the next morning, his nerves were frayed. Determined to prove to himself he wasn't losing his mind, Adam bought a small security camera and set it up in the kitchen. "It's probably nothing," he muttered, trying to convince himself. That night, he slept fitfully, his mind racing. When he woke up, the first thing he did was check the footage. At first, everything seemed normal, hours of stillness. Then, at exactly 3:15 a.m., there was movement. Adam leaned closer, his heart pounding. A woman, thin and disheveled, crawled out from the cabinet under the sink. She moved with an eerie calmness, stretching as if waking from a nap. Adam's blood ran cold as he watched her open his fridge, rummage through the shelves, and eat directly from the containers. She moved with familiarity, like she belonged there. After finishing, she wiped her hands on a dish towel, crept back to the cabinet, and disappeared inside. Adam couldn't believe what he'd just seen. Trembling, he called the police. When they arrived, he showed them the footage. The officers didn't hesitate. They tore open the cabinet and found a crawl space leading into the walls. Inside, they discovered a filthy mattress, empty food wrappers, and, most chillingly, a notebook. Adam flipped through its pages, his hands shaking. The notebook was filled with sketches of him, sleeping, eating, working. One page had a crude drawing of him in bed, with the words, "You look peaceful when you sleep." The woman was caught 2 blocks away, hiding in another house's crawl space. The police assured Adam that she was gone for good, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. A week later, he woke up gasping from a nightmare. In it, the woman had been standing at the foot of his bed, her hollow eyes fixed on him. He dismissed it as residual fear until he noticed his bedroom window was unlocked. He knew for a fact he'd locked it the night before. Karen had always prided herself on being cautious. As a single mom living with her 7-year-old son, Ethan, she knew it was up to her to keep them both safe. That's why the back door kept bothering her. Every morning, without fail, it was slightly ajar, no matter how many times she checked it before bed. "Ethan," she scolded one day, "you can't keep leaving the back door open." "But I didn't," Ethan insisted, his wide eyes full of confusion. Karen brushed it off as a child's forgetfulness. One evening, after triple-checking the locks, Karen decided to set up a camera facing the door. "Let's see if it's the wind or something," she muttered, half joking. That night, she woke at 3 a.m. to a notification from the camera. Heart racing, she opened the app. The footage showed the back door slowly creaking open and a shadowy figure slipping inside. The figure moved with eerie precision, heading straight for the living room. Karen grabbed her phone and dialed 911, whispering, "Someone's in my house." She locked herself and Ethan in the bedroom until the police arrived. When the officers searched the house, they found no one. But behind the shed in the backyard, they discovered a makeshift camp. A sleeping bag, dirty clothes, and something that made Karen's stomach churn. Photos of her and Ethan taken through the windows. Karen installed a security system the next day, thinking the nightmare was over. But Ethan began acting strange. He refused to sleep in his room and always seemed nervous. One night he whispered, "The man watches us from the window." Karen froze. "What man?" Ethan pointed toward the backyard. "He has a hat. He looks at me when I'm playing." Karen's blood ran cold. That night, she heard faint tapping on the back window. She didn't check. It was too dark. The next morning, she found a Polaroid taped to the back door. It showed her and Ethan sleeping in her bed. On the back were the words, "I'll see you soon." Mia had always loved having the house to herself. As a 16-year-old, being home alone for the weekend felt like freedom, but this time, it felt different. When she noticed the bathroom door at the end of the hall was locked, she frowned. It shouldn't have been. She tried the handle. It wouldn't budge. "Weird," she muttered. Later, as she passed the bathroom, she heard faint shuffling sounds. Her heart skipped a beat. "Hello?" she called, her voice shaking. No answer. That night, she called her mom, who laughed nervously. "Mia, that lock hasn't worked in years. It's probably jammed." Determined to prove it was nothing, Mia grabbed a hammer and broke the lock. The door creaked open to reveal nothing. The bathroom was empty, but on the mirror, written in condensation, were the words, "Help me." The next day, Mia researched the house. She discovered that the previous owners had a son named Alex, who drowned in the bathroom after being locked inside by his abusive father. Terrified, she avoided the bathroom entirely, until one night she woke to the sound of water running. She crept toward the bathroom, her breath hitching with every step. The door was open, and inside, the tub was filled to the brim. On the mirror, new words had appeared. "Why did you leave me?" When she backed away, she felt cold, wet hands grip her shoulder. The next morning, her parents returned to find her huddled in her room. But when they checked the bathroom, it was bone dry, except for the words scratched into the mirror. "Stay."